All right, hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. So it's Monday morning. I'm up here in North Austin by the Domain. We're just gonna check the available vehicles out here this morning. And so you see, as we move the pin and the cursor around town, you can tell the whole north side has only 3 available vehicles from here to Round Rock, which is about 10 miles away. We'll take a look here. So yeah, for the town north of us, there's not many drivers. There's 5 drivers for the whole entire north zone. This could create a problem for people wanting to get to the airport at this hour. Once again, 4:30 in the morning, not enough available vehicles. Why is that? Because Uber doesn't pay enough, and there's no direct line of communication between riders and drivers before they book the ride. So if they were able to tell the drivers, like, hey, I'm over here, I need a ride at 4:30 in the morning, I'll pay you $15 extra if you can come get me. Sure. Now, if we could do that, great. I mean, everyone would get picked up fine. But there's no way of doing that because Uber's in the middle. Me as a driver, I would like to wake up and know that, here in my schedule for the day, I have to pick up, Joe, Susie, Tom, and Larry, and I have all the times that they need to be picked up so I can route myself efficiently to pick all these people up. Now, that's what we want as a driver. We have a schedule as a driver. People think that drivers don't have schedules and can work when we want. Well, that's not necessarily true. Drivers do have schedules and only have specific times that they can drive. So it would be in our best interest, it would behoove us to know what we would have to do for the day. It would be a positive thing for us to know, look at our book of rides, and that's another guy just disappeared. You see that? So now we're losing drivers. It would be nice to have that, and for the rider side as well, it would be nice to know that, when you got in New York, Pablo would pick you up, and when you got to LAX, his cousin Jose would get you. Well, when you flew back to New York, Pablo would pick you back up. Now, you would know that in your app. You would have all your favorite drivers available and scheduled for you. You know what I'm saying? So we would be able to figure that out if the riders could give us a heads up. Like, hey, drivers, we need this many people here. We need this many people there. This is the communication that the person receiving the service should be able to let the provider of the service know what they need in advance. It would make not only the efficiency of the system better, because we would know where to be exactly when and where, and you wouldn't have to necessarily order a ride on demand. The car would be there already waiting for you outside because it's scheduled and you knows where to be. So if you can imagine in this system, there's no more of this like guesswork for drivers. We would know where to turn to. We would drive more efficiently, use less gas, and get riders picked up quicker if we know ahead of time when they need to ride. You see what I'm saying? But there's no way to do that with Uber or Lyft, how it is set up currently. So that's what we're working on. We're trying to figure out, is there a better way to do this kind of thing? And, there is. There is. It's just not with Uber, between the 2 people involved in the service. There's a third party here that's the problem. I mean, sure, they have a great app. That's awesome. Well, that's okay, but can't we just handle our business on our own and have you guys just do the technology and the platform over here? We'll pay you access to that platform, but let us solve the problem with, getting a car on time, enough drivers being available, being fairly compensated, being treated fairly, these type of issues. All this would be solved if the rider could communicate directly with drivers. So that's what we want to see happen. Now, will Uber do this? Who knows? So you can tell, here 4:30 in the morning, just a few minutes goes by, and you can tell how these cars just get farther and farther and farther away. And if you were running late right now, say you're at the Westin or something, you seriously need to get to the airport, and the next nearest car is 11 minutes away, and who's to say that that's really 11 minutes? It could be any one of these guys. And so you don't really have a dependable system here, not at this hour. Now, sure, when there's a bunch of drivers around in the middle of the day, it's no problem. I understand that. But when there's less availability and a lot more business coming in, Uber should be raising the rates right now to attract more drivers online and to give us a more incentive to be on the road, but they're not. Okay, they've messed with the algorithm and the dispatch algorithm and the prices. They've messed with this stuff to keep the price down and to hold the search down because they're going IPO and they want, to keep their prices down to keep the consumer happy, where in reality they should just raise the price. See, one just popped up over here in Manor. Like, are you really going to drive? Is this guy from Manor right here going to drive literally 20 minutes away to come get me over here at Domain? I mean, really? You know what I'm saying? So, this is the issue. Whereas this guy in Manor, he's gone now, but you could be like, hey, I'll pay this guy in Manor $20 to come get me because there's nobody else. Something like that, possible. Just in the future, you could say that. But with Uber, there's no way. I mean, there's no way. So we're sitting here. I'm an XL Select driver. Destination set to the airport here. And downtown looks like it's blowing up, guys. So we got a $9 surge going on downtown. I'm not working in the downtown area right now, but we'll go ahead and go to Dynamic and check it out. We'll turn on UberX here in a minute and just see kind of, where the business is coming from and all that. So yeah, the prices over here in this area on the north side should be a lot higher based upon, there not being any cars around. So it's good. Downtown looks like it's doing pretty good. I mean, 2.1, that's going to attract a lot of drivers into that area. And from a driver's perspective, that's pretty good stuff. I like that $9 surge. I tend to like Uber on that $9 surge. That's fine because, for an UberX driver, even for myself as an XL, I might consider something like that. $9 there and then another $12. So it's like a $20 ride, to the airport. That's what would pay drivers. So what is the customer paying in that area downtown? Well, let's find out. So let's go over to UberX and let's put our pin downtown, guys, okay? See what happens here. Let's go down to the airport. Obviously, there's one last look at the map. Now there's only one driver, three of us. So in the whole northern section of the city, there's only three drivers. Well, the other one disappeared. There's only one guy left, okay? So obviously it's busy. People are needing to get to the airport, and unfortunately there's not enough cars, guys. Oof. So, does this really work? Does this really work? Are we going to depend on an algorithm and machine learning and some faceless programmer to get us to the airport on time? Or can't you just call your local driver? Call us. Schedule with us. Deal with us. Why deal with Uber? Is it because the app? Really? Is it because the app is so dazzling? Is it because you guys don't know any better? Is it because it's cheap? I don't know. Why don't you work with your local drivers to figure out how to make this better? If you don't, then you're stuck with maybe not finding a ride at this hour. If you're interested in maybe, hey, you might want to work with the local drivers to figure out something better, well, then talk to us. We can figure it out, okay? As it is now, everyone thinks that this is the only way to do things because they're so dazzled by the app and the hundreds of billions of dollars Uber has that they think this is the only way to do things, when in reality, there's a lot simpler way to do it. You just got to cut that middleman out and deal with the service provider and the client. They need to deal with each other directly instead of going through this third party and making it difficult on everybody, okay? So, we're going to go downtown. Let's see here. Let's go downtown. Okay. So we saw that multiplier downtown, that dollar surge, the multiplier and all that. And we can just say, hey, we're going to go to the airport. Let's go UberX to the airport. There it is. And you notice there's no cars downtown, guys. Absolutely no cars. They're just disappearing like crazy. And, who's to say that you needed to ride downtown? I mean, go over here. Go over to the west side of town. Is there any drivers out here in, say, Bee Cave? There's some nice hotels, fancy office parks. Say you need to get to the airport right now. What's going to happen? Is there no cars available right there? Bottom of the screen? Right there? No cars available? You're stuck. What are you going to do? Call a cab? No, not. A cab ain't going to drive out there. It's too far for them. What are you going to do? Depend on Uber to send you somebody eventually? Or are you going to miss your plane? Well, you might have to drive yourself, right? Is that worth $100 billion? I don't know. You guys can answer that yourself. The point is this person over here in Bee Cave, there's no car available. You see that? No car available. Why is that? It's because nobody knows that that person needs a ride that far away. And the prices downtown were $9 a second ago. It dropped. But why would I go over there so far away when I can make surge money here? You see? That's the problem. If the person over here in Bee Cave, right, they need a ride that says no cars available. If that person out there were like, hey, drivers, I'm way over here, but nobody's going to come get me. Wouldn't you love to just have a few drivers to call? Wouldn't you guys love that? It's not that hard. Here's my direct connect code. Dial me up directly. Let's set a schedule. Here, you're right here. You're booked. You have me booked. This is your ride. I'm picking you up right here, right now. Call me the night before, a week before, book me. You can't book me through Uber. You can't book drivers through Uber a week in advance, a couple days in advance. I mean, even when you do get a scheduled ride, it's a marketing trick that they say it's scheduled, but it's not necessarily scheduled because it's the night before. It doesn't really know who's going to go pick you up. You just don't. It's an auto request where it sends the request out to anybody in the area like a half hour before you scheduled it. So necessarily, if there's nobody around, then you don't get a ride. You see how it works? So, you're not getting a ride out there. That's the inefficiency of Uber, guys. That's what we're noticing here in the business, especially at these type of hours, okay? That's just how it is. And you have to ask yourself, is this worth $100 billion? Is it? Or can we make something better? I mean, sure you can. Sure you can. How can you do it? I just told you. Get all the drivers together and book with the drivers directly and stop using Uber. Oh, well, how do we do that? Well, what if we stop using Uber? What would happen? Well, you would just call the driver instead. Well, maybe we call the driver through. What if Uber allowed the customer to call the drivers? Well, that would be great. Wouldn't it? That would be so great. If I was able to contact Uber drivers before I needed a ride, that would be a great idea. Because I might just never be stranded again. If I had 5 or 6 drivers that were my favorites and I knew they'd come get me, I'd never be stranded before. I'd never be stranded again, ever again. That's something to think about. Why doesn't Uber allow this to happen? Well, we'd do prearranged rides and all that, and they would not get their cut, right? Well, you're right. That's correct. We would probably cut them out eventually, but we still need the app, right? So we could do all this through Uber if they changed the app a little bit. If Uber said, hey, we're going to charge a subscription, all the riders are going to pay $10 a month, all the drivers are going to pay a couple $100 because they make money on the app. They're going to pay a little bit more to use it since you're making money, so drivers. The riders are paying for a service, so have them access fee a little bit lower. Uber would make their money still. Uber would make their money. They just have to think about it for a second. Let's just stop controlling prices, controlling drivers and all this. Let's give it up to the service providers and the clients to figure out what the prices are and all that. And we'll get out the way and provide the technology for an access fee. That would work. I think that would really work and make everybody happy and solve 90% of all the problems, if you really think about it. So, anyways, for the last little bit here, obviously I don't have anything on XLR Select, so I'm going to go ahead and play some games this morning, and we're going to turn on our X signal here and see where it goes. See if I can get any of these trips to come in. I'm going to take destination off real quick. Boom. I'm going to let it go all natural. Okay, we're going to go all natural here. We're going to run Uber X, and just for fun, we're going to turn on Ride Austin regular. So there we go. We have a 19-minute scheduled trip. This is a Pickup Premium Likely. So 19 minutes away. Okay. Now, 19 minutes away. Would you guys take this ride? Yes or no? as a driver. Would you take that ride? I mean, why would you? You're going to drive 20 minutes out of your way to make something that's likely to happen. I mean, you got the rate card on the dashboard now. Thanks, shout out to one of the guys on Facebook told me about the rate card is available for the long distance pickup fees, okay? So Mr. Jim out here, he has the scheduled trip, but I don't know what time he scheduled it for. Now that's another thing wrong with Uber is on these scheduled trips, they don't show you a time. And so I don't know what time he scheduled for. So say he scheduled it for 5, you know, I'd have to call. So let's go ahead and let's give Jim a call here and explain to him what's going on. I'll keep you guys in the phone call with me here as we talk to Mr. Jim. Yeah, hi there, Jim. This is the driver. About 20 minutes away. I was just wondering what time you scheduled the trip for, so that I'm there on time. Don't necessarily want to drive that far right now. I just need you to call me back to double check the pickup time. That way I can be there for you. Let me know. I'm a little far away, so hopefully you hear from me soon. Alrighty. All right, so Mr. Jim there, he did not pick up the phone. And so this is the issue here. So there's no direct line of communication between, right, we've done this. I've said, now Mr. Jim did not contact me the night before. I did not do any of this. I didn't know who this guy is. I got his address, obviously, but I don't know what time he needs the ride. So am I going to drive, 20 minutes out of my way into some back neighborhood where I can't even get a hold of the guy? These are the things we have to deal with as a driver and as a community of riders. We're completely separated from each other, guys. I wish I knew who Jim was. I wish I knew that I picked him up a few weeks ago and he tips $10. I wish I knew that. We just don't, okay? And so there's many problems you get with Uber. Unfortunately, Jim did not answer his phone, and I'm not going to take the risks to go out there without, him calling me first. So I'm sorry, Jim, but this is the wrong one. Not for me. This is the wrong ride for me to take. This is not. The issue I have is there's no scheduled time. The trips is a pickup possible or likely. I think I'm going to make extra, but I don't know if it's enough to make it worth it. And then the third, I don't know where he's going. I could go 20 minutes away and he could be going to work just down the street. So I don't want to lose money doing that. If Jim told me the night before, like, hey, I need to get to work and live way over here, I have a hard time getting to work. My car broke down or something. I'll give you $20 to do that. He tells me that the night before. Sure, I might go pick up Jim, but pickup isn't worth it. I guess that's going to be the one. So yeah, let's just sit back and watch him come in, guys. We're still on that X ride. Looks like surge has gone down and dynamic. Let's see, went from 2.1. I think it cooled off by now. It's still holding a little bit. So yeah, the rates are kind of coming in. So the pickup premium possible. So let's check out this one coming in here. The possible here, Mrs. Courtney. I'm not sure what possible. When it says possible, I can look up the rate card, but that's it doesn't start kicking into after 9 minutes of a threshold. So if it's less than 9 minutes away, which it says 8, then I probably won't get that I probably won't get that probable pickup anyway. So if it's more than or less than 9 minutes, then you're not probably going to get it, just from what the rate card is saying. So I'm sorry, Courtney. I accept that by accident. Actually, I really did. I wasn't expecting that. I was looking for this screen here when it came in. So let's just see what else goes on here this morning and play a few more games, and then we're going to go home. It doesn't look like anything on XL is going to hit today. So just want to take a few more, just kind of see what the app does here in early morning. So here's a premium pickup likely, 14 minutes away. If this guy was saying on the app, if it came through and was like, hey, plus $10, it said something like that, you know, plus $10, yeah, sure, I might drive over there for $10, you know. But that's when you say something like likely or possible, that doesn't really encourage me to drive over there. So you see how easy the fix is. It's easy to fix this type of thing if you just say, hey, we'll throw the driver $20 extra for this one. You know, this is a pickup premium likely. Let's give the guy 20 extra bucks, okay? So you see where this ride's coming from, Cedar Park? Let's go over there and just notice if there's any other drivers up in Cedar Park, okay? So here's Cedar Park, and is there anybody closer than us? Let's find out. No, oh, well, yeah, there's a few. So, you know, we're wondering why that guy didn't get the ride, and maybe he denied it, or we're wondering why that guy or that guy didn't get it. They just sent it to me. But you can tell, you know, there's just not enough drivers up there. It's trying to get me to drive up there, but I'm not. Sorry. It's just too far. If you told me $20 extra, sure, but with this likely and possible premium stuff, I'm not gonna really trust it to make me any money. So we're gonna do a few more of these, and then we'll end the show and get on home, guys. Okay. So here's another one. The pickup premium possible. Where's that coming in from? Yeah. So you know, it's just not an efficient way of doing things. And for the consumers out there, for all the riders that may be watching, this is what the drivers have to deal with. We have to make business decisions about, is this a good ride or not, and am I going to be losing money or making money? And if Uber told us straight up, you know, something that's more apparent. Here's one coming from downtown, okay? Now, 15 minutes away for $3 extra, and likely, I don't know if that'll work. I don't think it's worth it. You know, it's just, I'm already way north. And why is it giving me that ride? You know, there's got to be people down there, right? That came from downtown. So that one came from downtown. Let's look at that downtown. Let's look at that downtown real quick and see. Okay, so they gave me that request all the way from I got that request from Domain, and it came from downtown. Obviously, there's more drivers downtown already. So basically what's happening is, you see these drivers are all downtown. There's a lot of drivers closer to that request I just passed up. And here's another one coming from that area. What they're trying to do, guys, let me just go on camera here. What they're trying to do in this instance, the dispatch basically is trying to bring drivers from the outside areas to come and service the inside. So when you do that, you effectively suppress the surge, because the drivers within the local area do not get requested. It sends it to somebody else. Well, when those local drivers, those drivers within your immediate vicinity, do not get the request, well, that holds down the surge because there's a driver in the area. Now, when those drivers that are right next to you start to disappear, well, then there's no drivers in the area, the price will go up, supply and demand. You see how it works? So you can see how the algorithm will choose drivers that are from the farther outskirts before the drivers from the inner, that are closer to the inside of the city, the inner city. They'll request the one from the outside first to effectively limit the prices from jumping up. Because if the drivers around you get requested first, well, then the prices will rise to bring the drivers from the outside in. But no, dispatch wants to bring outside first and then give you the driver close by. So I just wanted to explain that for you, to give you an idea for even the new drivers that don't understand, even the older drivers who think that they know how the algorithm works. This is how dispatch works. This is what it does, okay? And here's another one here. So we have another likely. And, you know, this is the situation. This occurs every freaking Sunday, every Monday, every, you know, Friday, sometimes Thursdays at this hour. Now, this is the 4 to 5 o'clock hour. It's absolutely ridiculous to have to be dealing with this stuff as a driver. Okay, here's another one, guys. Okay, likely. What is all this? I know what it means. I got the rate card. It's just, what is all this about? You know, is this an efficient system? There's got to be a better way. You would think. You know, why am I doing this? You know, why am I making these videos? It's because I'm sick of it. I'm fucking sick of it, guys. You know, I really am. I'm sick of other drivers having to deal with it. I just am. Just raise the rates for UberX and we all get paid. You know what I mean? It's just not worth it, and it's not an efficient system. I'm pointing out the inefficiencies of Uber. I am. I'm pointing this out so that you guys understand there is a better way to do things. And this is not worth the $100 billion. Okay? It's just not. It's just not. So, I'm done playing games. Okay? I'm done playing games tonight. I've been driving. So I'm done. I'm going to go home. I won't be taking... I'll do like XL Select or something to the airport. I'll set my destination, but just want to make the video for you this morning to show you, hey, this is Uber. This is what you get. 4 to the 5 o'clock hour. I mean, hey, is that really worth the $100 billion? And is there a better way to do things? And furthermore, should the drivers and the riders communicate with each other before they order cars, like the night before or something? Should we, as the service provider and the client, get together and work things out without having a middleman tell us how the system is supposed to work, or having a middleman send us a driver from 15 minutes away? Do we have to depend on a middleman to set the rates for us? Do we have to depend on Uber to not rip us off and all this stuff? Do we have to depend on Uber? Do we really have to depend on them? In the 21st century, in 2020, do you have to depend on them? Do you have to? It seems so. It would seem so that you have to depend on Uber. Now, isn't that pathetic? Think about that. Ask yourself, do you have to depend on Uber? As a rider, maybe. Well, I tell you, as a rider, you do have to depend on Uber. That's how they got you by the balls. They've been giving you discounted rides, supplementing your rides for the last 10 years, and they've run out all the cabs. The cabs are no longer in service because they're all Uber drivers, and they've lowered the rates so much nobody wants to drive cab anymore, which used to be a great way to get around, or not so great way to get around, but you needed a damn cab, in case the situation happens. Now that Uber's in the game, you're dependent on Uber. Well, now that everyone's dependent on it, what do you do when it's not available or a driver won't pick you up? Now you're screwed, ain't you? Don't you wish you could just talk to the drivers and the drivers could just work it out with you guys, the riders, and we could become a community and not have Uber drive a wedge between us? Let's be a community, guys. Let's be riders and drivers, and let's be service providers and clients, and let's get the third-party middleman that's ruining the system and creating this inefficient way to get around, and these algorithms and all these prices and weird stuff like Likely and Premium and la and all these games. Let's just throw all that out the window. Let's give Uber a monthly cut just to use the platform, and we'll figure everything else out. It can be done. It can be done. If you think it can't be, that's what this channel is all about. We're going to walk you guys through how we can do it some other way. It's almost 2020, guys. We have the technology. We have the social network. I mean, we have everything. We have the instant communication features. All we need is the riders and the drivers to come together and stand up and be like, hey, Uber, this ain't the way to do things. All right? Just want to make that point nice and clear this morning. And hopefully you guys, follow me or whatever, pay attention to the channel, and we'll walk you through how we might change things. All right? Thanks for watching.